G'day folks, it's Rob here, and in today's clip we're going to be having a bit of a chat about some of the mushrooms that we've been growing here. I was intending on doing an aquaponics clip this week, but I just got far too busy, so that's been postponed for a little while. So what I thought I'd do is show you how the mushrooms in here, there's none growing at the moment, have gone for us and how I'm feeding them up. So it's a pretty easy process, but just to bring you folks up to speed, what I thought I would do is give you a bit of a look at how some similar bags were started by us back in April, and then bring you along and show you a bit of a quick clip I shot for our supporters. Thank you folks. I'm showing you how we feed up fruiting bags once we've harvested a flush. I was intending to do a complete series from starting off the bags all the way through to harvest and then feeding them and harvesting them again. But yeah, just because I haven't got a clip ready for this week, I thought I'd knock this one together for you now, and then that full series will come to the channel later on. So to begin with, I'll give you a bit of a look at how we started out the bags, and then I'll come back and show you the harvest we got from the last lot. So making up the fruiting bags was pretty easy. To begin with, I like to clean everything down with some isopropyl alcohol, just to make sure there's no nasty bugs that are going to get in there and contaminate the bags. And then we're adding in a water to pellet ratio of 6 parts water to 4 parts pellet. So Bianca added in roughly 3.75 litres of water, and as the water was going in, I popped in roughly 3.5 teaspoons of the calcium hydroxide just to make sure we knock any of the nasties in there on the head. And then after that we dumped in 2.5 kilograms of the pellets, roughly around about 5 pounds. So that was given a good mix around, made sure all the pellets were underwater, and then popped the lid on top and let it sit for 5 minutes so they could absorb all the moisture. So after about 5 minutes we're up, we checked the pellets. They're a bit hard to stir in the pot itself, so I popped the lid back on, gave it a good shake, and Bianca gave it a bit of a stir to break up the lumps, and it was ready to inoculate with our spawn. Now with the spawn we decided to do it in batches, just to make it a little bit easier to add into the bags. And to do that we weighed out an amount of the paper pellets we thought would fit in a Ziploc bag, and then added 10% of that weight in the spawn grain. And just quickly for you folks who have never seen the grain spawn before, it is a grain that has been pasteurized, then inoculated by some spawn. That spawn culture then feeds off the grain and creates those white hair-like mycelia that you can see moving from grain to grain. So back to the grain in the bowl, I crumbled it up nice and finely with some freshly sanitized hands of course, and tried to spread it as uniformly as I could through the paper pellets in the bowl. And from there it was just emptied into the Ziploc bags and set to one side until all of them were full. Once the bags were full, we took a clean scalpel and cut a little gas exchange port within the plastic itself, and then covered that over with some micropore tape, and that micropore tape will allow gas to exchange from inside the bag to outside, namely carbon dioxide and oxygen, but at the same time will keep out any mold spores. From there the bags were labelled with what variety of spawn we used and also the date. From there the bags were placed in a cool little storage area downstairs away from direct sunlight. In a couple of weeks time we'll feed them up with some wheat bran, and a few weeks after that they should be ready to fruit. So there's a bit of a look at the method we use to make up the fruiting bags. Now this 4-lot batch was created on the 28th of the 7th, and it was set downstairs in a little dark area where we just let the mycelia slowly colonize the substrate. Now probably about 12 days later I think it was, that they were ready to come upstairs. They started to form little pins and they were set in this little fruiting chamber behind me here. Now it took roughly around about 6 days for the pins to start to grow to the size that they could be harvested. And from memory, I wasn't too accurate with the weighing because this is just a trial at the moment, as I said before. I think we ended up getting roughly around about 2.5 kilograms, which is in the ballpark of 5.5 pounds. So all the fruit's been taken off these bags now, and we'll hop on over to give you a look at how I'm feeding them up with the bran. Just quickly, the bran is being added in to provide more nutrition to the mycelium so they can create more fruiting bodies, which are the oyster mushrooms that we pick. And the water is being added in because the bulk of the weight of those mushrooms actually comes from water. So yeah, just a bit of a heads up as to why we feed up the bags. So yeah, we'll have a bit of a gander at how I've fed them up. How's it going, supporters? Just thought I'd give you a bit of a look at how I'm feeding up the fruiting bags, the oyster mushroom fruiting bags that we've already harvested. I've done 2 already and I'm up to doing the 3rd one, so I thought I'd just walk you through the procedure. I won't be doing a clip for YouTube anytime soon, but I thought I'd share it with you guys. So I need to work out what my weight is. I already know this one is 800 grams. So I need an equal amount of water so I can rehydrate this media because it is very dried out because the fruiting bodies obviously have used it up. So I need 800 grams of water, which because we're metric, works out to be about 800 milliliters of water. So metric's very handy like that. So what I need to do now is sterilize a few things and break up this. So the first thing I need to do is just sterilize my hands after I've been touching stuff around the kitchen and getting stuff ready, and also sterilize this bowl that I'll be using to mix everything in. Also just going to give this a once over on the outside. Also need to wipe down the scalpel. Make sure I wipe down my fingers as well. I'm being a little bit pedantic because the last time I tried to feed up fruiting bags, they got contaminated. So I'm using isopropyl alcohol, by the way. I'm just using up this small bottle for the time being. Got a 5 litre one I bought recently. Now I just need to get all this media out here, so I'm just doing a basic cross and peeling off the plastic. Now I really would like to use little 2 litre or 5 litre yogurt containers, something like that, but I haven't found any. They're good because you just take the lid off and you can do all this and then pack everything back into the container, but I'm going to have to use brand new bags for this. And just drop this in the bowl and dispose of the bag. Now all I need to do is just break this up, and just to give you an idea, that's how dry it is. Nothing squeezes out of it whatsoever. So those mushrooms have used up all this moisture. And then you can see on the inside, the mycelia's made it all the way through. So I just need to break this up as fine as I can. And whoops, got to throw some on the bench. I might get my assistant to come and help me in a tick, if that's okay, Kira. Just to pour some bits and pieces in so I don't have to re-sterilise my hands and whatnot. So rightio, I've broken that up fairly fine. If my assistant could just pour in the water to begin with.
Slowly?
Yeah, it doesn't really matter, sweetie.
All at once.
All at once is fine. I'm going to have to stir it around. Just give the bottom a bit of a swish before you... Yeah, that's right. There's a bit of sediment on the base. And rinse that. Yep. Rinse that out before Mum gets home. So now I just have to massage this solution through the medium here. Now it is going to be fairly moist, but I'm not too worried about that because these paper pellets will soak up some of that moisture. From previous attempts of trying to rehydrate these fruiting blocks, the mycelia make it slightly hydrophobic. So actually there's no water on the base there now, it's all pretty much all done. Now if you could just pour the bran in for me please, Kira, that would be fantastic.
Again, just all at once?
Just all at once, my dear, is fine.
Try to spread it around.
Oh, thank you. I'm just going to mix that in, and that bran will be hydrated by the moist pellets. Just try and mix it around as nice as I can. And now the guys I learned from, they actually use wheat bix, but I figured I would use the bran because that's what I've seen a load of people use on different websites and whatnot. YouTube videos as it happens. So that's looking pretty good. I'm sort of just trying to judge how well it's mixed by the colour as well. So that looks pretty good. I'm just going to clean off my hands and get the spoon ready for filling up the bag. So just give my hands a quick clean down again. Not that they're going to touch much of the medium. And clean off the spoon as well. And oh, that's a bit of mycelium. If I could get my assistant to come over again, and we'll fill up this bag. Now this can get a little bit messy. I'll try not to get any in Kira's face.
You know, it's just so close to the bag, you know.
I know.
Calling you vertically challenged.
I just got the death stare, and yes, you are short. Most people are short to me, sweetie. You can probably, or you might be able to make out the little bits of the original grain spawn as well. Is that a bit loud, Koo?
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm just going to form up the bag here a bit. Just trying to make it into a bit of a rectangle. Just trying to make it into a bit of a rectangle. Release the rest of the air out of there. There we go. I'm just going to tape down this top bit here just to help it keep its shape. And we're almost done. Now the only thing left to do is a bit more cleaning, because I definitely do not want these contaminated. Just over the top there. The hands again. Also the scalpel blade. I'm just going to cut out a few cat-sized shapes, and this will be the holes through which the gas exchange will occur, and then hopefully, if all goes well, the fruiting bodies in a couple of weeks' time. So I also like to fold over a corner of this tape just to make it easy to pull off later on. And these holes may have to be enlarged as well, depending on the size of the pins that form. Last thing I need to do down here is to put the date 18th of the 8th 20, and I'm writing sideways, and just 5% bran. Not that I've done any other amount, but I was intending to do this as a 10%, because I didn't press record on the previous one, I thought I'd just show you this. So this is generally what's recommended, a 5% mix, mainly because that extra nutrition in there can encourage growth from fungus and bacteria. So it was suggested by a few folks just to keep it down low to about 5%. And yeah, that should be enough to get you another flush of mushrooms. So we're just downstairs in our storage room and give you a look at these fruiting bags. As you can see, we have got mycelia growing through and colonizing the cat litter. And yeah, it's only been 4 days and I'm pretty impressed with the way it's gone. All 3 bags that we've done so far are looking good, and no sign of contamination as of yet, which I'm very pleased about, because I was a bit concerned that I may be adding a little bit too much moisture. You can probably make out a few little dots of moisture on the plastic there. What I'm hoping is that the mycelia take off, create those fruiting bodies, and the bulk of that water will go into those fruiting bodies, and fingers crossed it will give us a nice luscious large harvest. Just a bit of an update as well on our buckets we have on the grow here. This is wood chip with the same spawn that we use to create those bags. And just lift off my tape here and you might be able to see some mycelia up there. I think this one down here has got a bit more growth that you might be able to make out. Some little white wispy bits. So that's looking rather good. The top of it as well, I've shown in previous clips, is totally populated by mycelia at the moment. This one here is sugarcane mulch. You can't see much up there. Down there you can see that there's some mycelia forming. And over here, the same, there's a little bit of mycelia forming down in there. So pretty impressed with the way these guys are going. Hopefully we'll be able to get these guys upstairs and set up in the fruiting chamber in the next week or so. So that's how those 3 bags were fed up. I've got 1 bag left here. This is the late bloomer that had the clump that terminated, and we harvested the little clump on this side. With these guys here, or this media here, substrate, what I'm going to do is feed that up with a 10% bran, or by weight bran mix, just to see how it goes, to see if we can you know, create a larger flush on this bag here. It will be interesting to see if it gets contaminated, because I have heard that if you do overfeed it, you can provide more food for the competing bacteria and molds, so they may take off. No loss if that happens. I'll just toss it down the back under some wood chip or in the compost heap, and the nutrients will stay in our system here. These 2 bags here, I tried to fruit again. These are without feeding. These 2 bags were created using the stem butt method. So that's basically taking bits of old oyster mushrooms, popping them into a substrate, the cat litter recycled paper pellets again, and we did get a couple of small flushes from these guys, but I will be feeding them up. I'll actually break these up together, pop them into 1 new bag, and then we'll yeah, add in 5% by weight of the bran and see if we can get another flush from them. So that's a little project for this weekend. So yeah, you might see photos of them pop up on the YouTube community feed or over on the Facebook page. And I will also be posting progress shots of those fruiting bags we have downstairs over on those same pages. Before I go, I really would like to thank all you folks for coming along and thumbing up the clips and sharing them around with your family and friends if you think they're useful, and also for leaving the comments down in the comment section below. It's great to get ideas and feedback from you folks down there, even if you just want to pop on and say g'day. I really do appreciate it. Special thanks needs to go to those folks who are supporting us on the YouTube membership page and also on our Farm Your Own Yard supporters website. Thank you very much, folks. I really do appreciate it. Please do pop down to the description below and check out our super supporters, links to their websites and also Facebook pages. But I will pretty much leave it there. I do hope you're all well and happy, and I will catch you next clip. Cheers, folks. Have a top one.